In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, thousands of alien voices filled the chamber with noise and laughter. Their words carried across the high ceiling like sharp echoes, and in the middle of all the talk, one subject kept returning: humans. The alien leaders had gathered to discuss new powers rising in the galaxy, but whenever the name of Earth came up, the response was always the same. They laughed. They mocked. They treated humanity as a joke. "Humans," said a tall reptilian commander with scales of dark green. "They're still crawling on their small blue world, arguing over food and land like primitive animals. They have no fleets, no real weapons, nothing to fear." His voice was followed by laughter from the other council members, long, cruel sounds that filled the air. Another alien, this one from insectoid species with sharp mandibles, added, "The humans dream of stars, but their ships are fragile like paper. A single blast from our weapons can tear their machines apart. They are not warriors. They are not conquerors. They are nothing but children lost in the dark." The crowd cheered, enjoying every insult, every word of humiliation. They spoke as if humanity was not even present, as if humans could not hear their words. But sitting in silence at the edge of the chamber was a human ambassador, dressed in a simple black suit, his expression calm and unreadable. He did not answer the insults. He did not argue back. His eyes, however, never moved away from the mocking faces of the council. He listened to every laugh, every cruel remark, and stored them in his memory like quiet weapons. One alien with long horns leaned forward and spoke with a mocking smile. "Perhaps we should allow them to join our council," he said, and then paused before adding, "but only as servants. Let them polish our ships, carry our supplies, clean the floors of this chamber. That is the highest position humans deserve among the stars." The entire chamber roared with laughter at the cruel joke. Some even slammed their fists on the tables, unable to contain their amusement. The human ambassador still did not move. He simply adjusted his tie, his eyes cold, his silence more powerful than words. The laughter grew louder and louder, bouncing from wall to wall, as if the entire galaxy had joined together in mocking one small, fragile species. But then, when the laughter began to fade, another alien voice cut through the noise. This one belonged to a warlord from a species known for their endless battles. His face was scarred, his armor dented from countless wars. "Mock them if you wish," the warlord said in a low growl, "but do not underestimate them. I have studied them. Humans bleed, yes, but they do not surrender. They are stubborn. They are dangerous when cornered. A single desperate human can fight harder than 100 trained soldiers." The chamber fell quiet for a moment, but then another alien dismissed the warning with a wave of his hand. "Nonsense. The humans have nothing. No armies, no fleets, no empire. They are weak and scattered. Their world is fragile. If war comes, Earth will burn in less than a day." Again the laughter returned, drowning out the warlord's warning. It seemed no one wanted to believe that humanity could be anything more than a joke. As the meeting ended, the alien leaders left the chamber with smiles on their faces, satisfied with their mockery. The human ambassador rose slowly from his seat, his movements calm, his face still expressionless. He walked through the grand doors without saying a word. Many aliens did not even notice him leaving. To them, humans were invisible, insignificant, not worth a second thought. But inside the mind of that silent man, every insult, every cruel word, every laugh had left a mark. Humanity had been humiliated before the galaxy. They had been treated as weak, as powerless, as nothing. But humans had learned one thing from history, one truth that burned in their bones. Humiliation could become fuel. Mockery could become fire. And silence could hide the sound of preparation. That day, as the human ambassador stepped into the shadows of the long corridor, he carried with him not shame, not anger, but a quiet promise. A promise that humanity would not forget this day. A promise that one day, the laughter of the council would turn into screams. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the words spoken in mockery had lit a flame, and that flame would grow into something the stars had never seen before. For now, the aliens believed humanity was weak. For now, the aliens believed they had won with their words. But the truth was simple, hidden beneath the silence of one man's calm walk. Humanity was listening. Humanity was waiting. And humanity was preparing. Long before the great humiliation inside the Galactic Council, humanity had already faced the bitter truth of being underestimated. The first time alien ships appeared in the skies of Earth, many humans thought it was a dream or a miracle. But the truth was much colder. The alien visitors did not come as friends, nor did they come as conquerors. They came as observers, curious to see this small species living on a fragile blue planet. The humans welcomed them with excitement, offering peace, offering handshakes, and offering dreams of partnership. But the aliens only laughed. They called Earth a young world, its people simple, its technology primitive. They stayed only for a short time, just long enough to see human ships struggle to reach the edge of the solar system. Then they left, leaving behind only their mocking words. For many humans this was heartbreaking, but for others it was fuel. Hidden deep beneath the surface of Earth, away from the eyes of alien spies, a secret plan was born. The leaders of Earth came together in silence, not to cry over insults, but to create something greater. They called it Project Titan, a name whispered only in the darkest rooms. Few knew of its existence, and those who did carried the weight of a dangerous secret. While the world above continued its normal wars, politics, and endless arguments, far below the surface scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked day and night. They studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They learned from every failed rocket, every broken machine, every small mistake. They studied the weaknesses of those who mocked them, gathering fragments of information, building a silent wall of knowledge. Humanity's history was full of wars and struggles, and every battle had taught them one lesson. When underestimated, strike harder than anyone expects. At first, progress was slow. The scientists argued, the generals doubted, and the politicians worried about money. But the humiliation never faded from their memory. The image of alien laughter burned too strongly to allow failure. Soon, small steps became giant leaps. Engines more powerful than anything built before came alive in hidden hangars. Weapons unlike any used on Earth were tested in deserts where no eyes could see. And slowly, piece by piece, the outline of something extraordinary began to form. The aliens believed Earth was weak, but Earth was learning, and Earth was changing. Rumors began to spread among the stars. Smugglers and travelers whispered about strange activity near the moon, about human ships moving supplies in secret, about lights flashing in space where there should have been darkness. The alien council dismissed these as lies, laughing as always. The humans can barely reach their moon, they said. What could they possibly build there? But the rumors did not stop. In fact, they grew louder. Some even claimed the humans had discovered energy sources hidden deep in their planet, fuels so powerful they could rival alien reactors. The council mocked this too, saying humans could not even control their own climate. How could they control the power of the stars? Yet, inside hidden bases carved beneath mountains and oceans, the truth was clear. Humanity was building something massive, something no alien could imagine. Project Titan was not just one weapon, not just one ship. It was the foundation of a new era. Each bolt placed, each wire connected, each secret test carried humanity closer to a silent promise. The day when Earth would no longer be weak. For now, the aliens saw only the surface, and on the surface humans still fought their small wars, still argued about borders and governments. But under that chaos, a rare unity had formed, a unity stronger than any alien empire. Every nation that once called the other enemy now worked together, not out of love, but out of necessity. They knew one truth. Against the galaxy, humanity was one. It was not easy. Accidents happened, scientists died, and many experiments ended in fire and failure. But failure never stopped them. Each mistake only became another lesson, another step closer to success. Humanity had been mocked, but humanity had not forgotten. The memory of that first insult, that first dismissal, burned like fire in their hearts. And so, silently, slowly, carefully, humanity prepared. They did not announce their progress to the stars. They did not send messages begging for respect. They said nothing at all. For the galaxy, Earth was still the same small planet, weak and laughable. But hidden in shadows, the truth was growing stronger. Project Titan was alive, and it was almost ready. The aliens thought humans were children playing with fire. Soon, they would learn the children had built a torch strong enough to burn empires. The galaxy was vast and filled with countless voices, and whispers often traveled faster than ships. In hidden taverns on forgotten moons, in markets crowded with strange creatures, and in the silent corridors of smuggler stations, one rumor began to spread again and again. The humans were building something. No one knew exactly what it was, but the whispers grew with each passing cycle. Some said the humans had discovered a weapon buried deep in their planet. Others claimed they were constructing a fleet of warships in secret. Many laughed at these stories, dismissing them as human fantasies, yet the rumors refused to die. Alien captains reported strange lights flashing near the moon, patterns that did not match natural space activity. Cargo ships passing close to Earth spoke of heavy traffic moving silently through the night, small vessels carrying materials that vanished into hidden bases. To most of the galaxy, these were meaningless tales, not worth concern. But for a few, doubt began to grow. A young alien soldier named Kether, who had studied human history, could not ignore the signs. He remembered their wars, their stubborn resistance, their endless ability to rise after being crushed. In private meetings, he warned his commanders, saying, "Mock them if you want, but humans do not forget. They do not forgive. If they are silent, it is because they are preparing." His commanders only laughed, repeating the words spoken so many times before. They are weak. They are children. Their world is fragile. Nothing will change. Yet in the shadows of Earth, something was already changing. Inside underground chambers, scientists stared at glowing screens as new engines came to life. Engines that roared with power beyond anything Earth had created before. Soldiers trained day and night in silent bases, learning not only how to fight, but how to fight against enemies far stronger than themselves. The moon, once only a cold rock, had become a fortress. Massive structures were built into its surface, invisible from space, hidden behind layers of dust and clever designs. To the galaxy, it looked untouched, but to humans, it had become the heart of their secret. Slowly, the outline of the weapon began to form, a machine so large it stretched across craters, its body buried in the stone of the moon. It was not just a cannon, not just a machine of war. It was humanity's answer to laughter, an iron reply to centuries of humiliation. On alien worlds, leaders began to notice the whispers too. They dismissed them in public, but in private some grew uneasy. If the rumors were true, then humanity might be hiding more strength than anyone believed. A few alien spies were sent to Earth, moving quietly among human cities, searching for evidence. But the humans were careful. The spies found nothing but the same old picture: arguments between nations, small wars, political chaos. Nothing that showed unity, nothing that showed strength. And yet, deep under the surface, humanity remained united in silence, working together for something greater than all their divisions. The tension grew day by day. The Council of Aliens gathered again, voices rising as they discussed whether humanity should be warned. Some argued humans were too small to care about, while others insisted ignoring them could be a mistake. The debate ended with the same conclusion: humans were not a threat. And so, the laughter continued. But the soldiers training on Earth knew different. They felt the weight of every secret, the responsibility of carrying the future of their species. For them, there was no laughter, only determination. One day, their commanders told them, "The galaxy will know our strength. One day, they will see what we have built. And so the countdown continued, hidden from the eyes of the stars. The alien soldier Kether tried one last time to warn his people. He wrote reports filled with evidence, maps showing strange activity, records of human launches that made no sense. His leaders dismissed him again, tearing up his reports and telling him to stop wasting time. The humans are nothing, they said. They will always be nothing. Kether looked at the stars and felt a cold unease. He had seen human eyes before, eyes that did not break even under defeat. He knew silence could be more dangerous than noise. He knew the humans were waiting. Across the galaxy, the tension was invisible but real, like a storm building on the horizon. Most ignored it, but those who looked closely could see the signs, the quiet movement, the strange whispers, the silence of a species once mocked. And in that silence, something heavy was rising, something powerful, something unstoppable. The aliens believed they had nothing to fear. Soon they would learn the truth. Humanity had been silent for long enough. The Galactic Council had ignored the whispers for too long, but now the rumors of human activity were spreading too fast to be dismissed. Reports arrived from traders, mercenaries, and even neutral explorers who claimed that something strange was happening near the moon. Supply ships were vanishing into shadows, strange energy signals were being detected, and Earth seemed far too calm for a planet often filled with chaos. Finally, the Alien Council decided to act. A message was drafted, not one of peace or respect, but of warning. The message was simple and cruel. Stay in your place. Do not build what you cannot control. Do not pretend to be more than you are. If you step out of line, you will be destroyed. The message was sent across the stars, reaching Earth within days. For the first time in many years, all the leaders of Earth gathered together in one hidden chamber beneath the surface. They sat in silence as the alien words echoed on the screen. Some leaders clenched their fists, some lowered their heads, and some stared coldly at the message. When the recording ended, there was no anger in the room, no loud shouting, only a heavy silence. At last, one voice broke the stillness. They believe we are still weak, the speaker said. They believe their threats will break us. But we did not come this far to bow down again. The others nodded. They all remembered the humiliation, the laughter, the cruel jokes that had once made humanity feel small. Those memories had built Project Titan, and those memories now fueled their courage. Instead of sending a reply, the leaders gave only one order: prepare the weapon. Deep within the moon, machines roared to life. Massive generators hummed, feeding energy into a network of circuits and cables that stretched across hidden tunnels. Engineers moved quickly, checking every system, every part, every connection. Soldiers stood ready in silent halls, their eyes focused, their hearts heavy with determination. On Earth, ordinary people knew nothing. They lived their lives, unaware that their world stood on the edge of history. Above the planet, in the darkness of space, alien fleets began to move. Ships with shining hulls and weapons that had burned countless worlds gathered together in formation. They believed this mission would be simple, a display of power to remind humans of their place. The commanders joked and laughed as their ships approached Earth's orbit. Perhaps we will only fire one shot, one of them said. Enough to scare them, not enough to end them. After all, it would be boring to destroy them too quickly. Another replied with a cruel smile, yes, let them live a little longer. Fear is a stronger chain than death. Their voices were filled with arrogance, the same arrogance that had guided their every decision about humanity. But on the moon, the countdown had already begun. Numbers flashed on screens, and a low hum shook the hidden chambers. Scientists wiped sweat from their brows as the weapon grew hotter, its core filling with power. The weapon was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, a fusion of human creativity and stolen fragments of alien knowledge. It was raw, it was imperfect, but it was powerful. As the alien fleet drew closer, the human commanders gave the order. Do not fire first. Let them come. Let them believe we are afraid. Then we will show them. Hours passed, tension growing thicker with every moment. The alien ships entered orbit, their shadows stretching across the Earth below. From the ground, they looked like stars, glittering in formation, but to those in secret bases, they were predators circling their prey. The alien commander sent one more message, his voice filled with mocking laughter. "Earth, hear us. This is your final warning. Power down your machines, destroy your weapons, and accept your weakness, or tomorrow your planet will burn." On Earth, no reply came. The message was met with silence. Inside the alien fleet, the commanders grew impatient. "Perhaps they are too afraid to answer," one said. "Perhaps they are already broken." But on the moon, the weapon reached its final stage. Lights glowed across its vast frame, and the air trembled with energy. The humans stood ready, their fingers hovering over controls, their eyes locked on the countdown. 10. The numbers flashed as power surged through the weapon. In the alien ships, alarms suddenly rang. Their sensors detected a massive energy spike from the moon, something far greater than anything humans should have been able to build. The commanders looked at their screens in confusion. "Impossible," one shouted. "They cannot have this kind of power. It is a trick." But it was no trick. It was the truth. As the final second struck, the weapon roared alive, brighter than the sun, hotter than fire, and aimed directly at the heart of the alien fleet. Humanity had not spoken with words, but their reply was ready, written in light and destruction. The first threat had been given by the galaxy. Now humanity was ready to answer. The alien fleet floated high above Earth, their shining hulls glimmering against the black void of space. The commanders of those ships stood proud, their voices filled with laughter as they mocked the silence of humanity. They expected fear, they expected begging, they expected the humans to kneel as they always had before. But the silence was not weakness. It was the sound of something far greater, the calm before a storm. On the surface of the moon, deep within hidden craters, the weapon that humanity had built in secret now came alive. Energy flowed like rivers of fire through its veins, humming louder and louder until the ground itself trembled. Engineers watched their screens as numbers rose higher than they had ever dared to test. Soldiers stood ready at their posts, gripping their weapons though they knew their true weapon was far larger than anything they held in their hands. The final command echoed through the chamber. "Target locked. Fire when ready." At first there was silence. Then a blinding light burst from the moon, brighter than the sun, a beam so pure and sharp it cut through the darkness of space like a sword of fire. It moved faster than the alien eyes could follow, striking the lead battleship in the center of its massive body. For a heartbeat, the ship stood untouched, as if refusing to accept what had happened. Then, in a single instant, it exploded into nothingness. A vessel that had carried thousands of alien soldiers, armed with weapons capable of destroying entire planets, was reduced to dust before any of them could scream. Shock rippled through the alien fleet. Their laughter died, replaced with silence and disbelief. What was that?" One commander whispered, his voice trembling. Another shouted, "Impossible! Humans cannot create such power. This is a trick." But it was no trick. On the moon, the weapon roared again, energy surging as systems recharged. The humans watched calmly, their faces lit by the glow of their creation. For years they had worked in shadows, mocked and insulted by the galaxy, and now, in a single shot, they had proven the truth. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was dangerous. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Ships broke formation, some turning their weapons toward the moon, others retreating in terror. But before they could act, the weapon fired a second time. Another beam of light cut through the void, striking a cruiser and tearing it apart as if it were made of glass. The explosion painted the stars with fire, and fragments of metal spun silently through space. Alarms blared inside the remaining alien ships, commanders screaming orders, soldiers running in fear. They had come expecting to scare the humans, to make them bend, but instead they found themselves facing a force that none of them could understand. On Earth, the human leaders watched in silence from their hidden chamber. Their faces showed no joy, no celebration, only grim determination. They knew this was not victory, but the beginning of something far greater. The message was not for the aliens above their skies. The message was for the galaxy. "You mocked us," one leader whispered to himself as he watched the burning remains of the alien fleet. "You told us we were nothing. Now you see what one shot can do." Back in orbit, the alien commanders tried desperately to organize their fleet, but fear had already broken them. Some ordered their ships to attack, firing beams of energy at the moon, but their weapons struck only dust and stone, never touching the weapon hidden beneath layers of rock. Others begged for retreat, shouting that humans were no longer prey, but predators. Then the weapon fired again, a third devastating blast, ripping through another ship. This time the silence of the alien fleet turned into screams. Entire crews shouted in terror as they watched their mighty vessels vanish in moments. The commanders who had once laughed at humanity now felt their throats tighten with fear. "Stop them," one screamed. "Stop them before they destroy us all." But nothing could stop what had already begun. The humans did not speak, they did not send threats, they did not taunt. They only fired, and each shot carried a message louder than any words. The galaxy had mocked them. Now the galaxy would fear them. Slowly the weapon powered down, its core glowing red as it cooled, its systems resting after the devastating strikes. 3 ships had been destroyed, thousands of alien lives erased in seconds, and the rest of the fleet was in chaos. Some ships fled at full speed, desperate to escape the nightmare. Others drifted in silence, their commanders too stunned to move. On the moon, the humans did not pursue. They had proven their point. They had shown the galaxy a glimpse of what they were capable of. The silence that followed was heavier than the laughter that had once filled the council chamber. The aliens had come to threaten Earth, to remind humanity of its weakness. Instead, they had been reminded of something else: the cost of underestimating a species that refused to die. Humanity had fired only a few shots, but those shots had changed everything. The galaxy would never laugh at them again. The galaxy had always been loud. Councils argued, merchants bargained, warlords boasted, and countless voices filled the stars with endless noise. But after the destruction of the alien fleet above Earth, silence spread like a shadow across every world. The mocking laughter that once followed the name of humanity was gone. In its place came whispers, quiet and fearful, words spoken only in private corners. Stories of the moon weapon traveled faster than light, carried by fleeing survivors, by broken commanders, and by terrified spies. They all told the same tale. One devastating shot from humanity had destroyed ships that were thought to be unstoppable. And not just one shot, several, each as powerful as the first. Whole fleets that had laughed at Earth now avoided its skies. No one dared come close. On distant planets, alien children asked their parents about humans, and the parents answered with hesitation. "Do not speak of them," they whispered. "Do not even say their name too loudly." In the great halls of the Galactic Council, the silence was the loudest of all. Where once leaders had laughed and mocked, now they sat with uneasy faces, avoiding each other's eyes. No one wanted to admit fear, yet it was written on every face. They remembered their own words, their cruel jokes, and now those words burned like fire in their throats. When the council finally spoke, it was in careful tones. One leader asked, "Do we confront them?" Another answered quickly, "No. Confrontation means destruction. You saw what they did." A third voice trembled as it added, "If one shot can erase a battleship, imagine what else they are hiding." Fear tightened its grip around the chamber, and for the first time, the council truly felt small. Far away, on Earth, humanity remained quiet. There were no broadcasts to boast of their victory, no messages demanding respect, no threats to the stars. The leaders of Earth chose silence, letting the galaxy drown in its own fear. This silence was not weakness, but power. Every day, without a word from humanity, made the aliens more uncertain. Were the humans building more weapons? Were they preparing a fleet? Or were they waiting, planning something far worse? The not knowing was the cruelest weapon of all. In the shadows of alien empires, warlords began to argue. Some said humanity must be destroyed before it grew too strong, while others said attacking would only bring death. Traitors whispered that humans had not shown their true strength yet, that the moon weapon was only the beginning. Even the bravest voices fell quiet when someone asked the most dangerous question. What if humans had more hidden weapons across their system, waiting to fire? On Earth, the human ambassador who had once sat silently in the council chamber stood before his own people. His voice was calm, steady, and filled with resolve. They mocked us. They told us we were nothing. But we answered, and our answer was heard by every star. We do not need to shout. We do not need to beg. They will never forget what happened here. His words spread across Earth's hidden bases, reaching the soldiers, scientists, and engineers who had given everything to Project Titan. For them, the victory was not a moment of joy, but a reminder of their burden. They had changed history, but they had also painted a target on humanity. Now every empire, every council, every warlord would watch Earth with fear and suspicion. And fear, they knew, could turn into hate. Back in the council chambers, some alien leaders suggested sending envoys of peace, hoping to calm the humans before things grew worse. Others warned against it, saying even approaching Earth might be seen as a threat. In the end, they did nothing, trapped by their own fear. The galaxy waited, tense and silent, for humanity's next move. Days turned into weeks, and still the humans said nothing. The silence grew heavier, almost unbearable. Some alien fleets refused to patrol near Earth's system, changing their routes to avoid even coming close. Traders avoided the region altogether, saying no profit was worth the risk of crossing paths with human weapons. And every night, in every corner of the galaxy, whispers returned. What else are they hiding? What else have they built? The silence of humanity became a storm in the minds of their enemies. It was a silence that suffocated, a silence that carried more power than any scream. Once, the galaxy had laughed at Earth. Now it lowered its voice, afraid even to speak their name. Humanity had fired only a few shots, but those shots had rewritten the balance of power across the stars. And in the quiet halls of Earth's secret bases, the humans prepared for what they knew was coming next. Respect had been won, but peace was still far away. From the galaxy, silence could not last forever. The galaxy would never be the same again. Where once the name of humanity was met with laughter and mockery, now it was spoken only in hushed tones, heavy with caution and respect. The destruction of the alien fleet had changed everything. News traveled across stars faster than light, carried by terrified survivors and amplified by whispers that grew darker with each telling. Some said the humans had built a weapon that could shatter planets. Others claimed they had fleets hidden beneath the surface of their oceans, waiting for the right moment to rise. Nobody knew the truth, and that ignorance created a fear stronger than any weapon. In the council chambers where humanity had once been insulted, the leaders of powerful empires now sat in uneasy silence. Every decision they made was shadowed by one thought. What will the humans do next? No one dared to provoke them. No one dared to speak lightly of their name. For the first time in centuries, the great powers of the galaxy paused their endless wars and rivalries, each of them watching the small blue world with suspicious eyes. On Earth, humanity understood the weight of its new position. They had not sought glory, but it had come to them. They had not sought fear, but fear had spread across the stars. In hidden bases, generals spoke carefully, reminding their people that victory was not the end, but the beginning of something greater. The galaxy now listens to us, one commander said, his voice firm. What we say, what we do, will echo louder than ever before. We must not speak with weakness. We must not show division. We must move forward as one. Across the planet, humans who once fought each other over borders and beliefs now shared a single vision. They were no longer only Americans or Chinese or Russians or Africans or Europeans. They were something greater. They were humanity, and the galaxy now knew their name. Some among them argued that it was time to demand respect openly, to send a message to every council and every empire declaring their strength. But the leaders chose silence once again. They understood the power of fear, the way uncertainty worked like poison in the minds of their enemies. Why shout when silence spoke louder? Why boast when their enemies already imagined nightmares worse than reality? Humanity had learned that silence was its greatest weapon. On distant worlds, alien rulers changed their policies. Fleets that once roamed freely avoided Earth's skies. Traders who had mocked humans now approached with trembling hands, offering goods and deals they never would have considered before. Even warlords who once dreamed of conquest now spoke cautiously, for they knew one devastating shot had erased their strongest ships. If one shot could do that, what would 10 shots do? What would 100? In private chambers, alien scholars studied human history, searching for clues about this strange species that had risen from weakness to power. They found wars, yes, but also resilience. They found chaos, but also unity when survival demanded it. And the more they read, the more their fear grew. "They're not like us," one scholar whispered. "We rise and fall with strength. But they rise because of weakness. The more they are pushed down, the stronger they return." What will happen when they're no longer weak at all? Back on Earth, the human ambassador who had once sat silent in the council hall stood once again before his people. His voice was calm, steady, and filled with certainty. "They mocked us once. They will never mock us again. We have shown the galaxy our strength, but we have shown only a glimpse. The rest we will keep hidden, for mystery is as powerful as fire. Let them wonder, let them fear, and let them remember that respect was not given to us. It was taken." His words became the foundation of a new doctrine, a path for humanity to follow in the new era. No longer would Earth wait to be invited to the table of the galaxy. No longer would they bow their heads to those who claimed to be stronger. Humanity had carved its place among the stars, not with diplomacy, not with begging, but with one devastating shot. And the echo of that shot still haunted the galaxy. In the years that followed, the balance of power shifted. Empires that once dominated now measured their steps carefully, calculating every move with humanity in mind. The council chambers that once laughed at Earth now trembled at the thought of its silence. And in the quiet of space, humanity continued its work, building more, preparing more, never revealing the full extent of its strength. The galaxy had entered a new age, the age of humanity, an age born not of mercy, but of memory, not of weakness, but of humiliation transformed into power. The stars would never forget the day laughter died and silence became the voice of Earth.